come out of Dunluce Castle, I will come through the coach and take food orders on the bus. When we get down to the John's Causeway, I'll email the orders through. We're doing pretty okay on time, guys. Lunch will be about, should be a little earlier than 2:30. I'm booked in for 2:30, but they will take us a little bit earlier if I do let them know. I'll let them. I'll know when we get to the Causeway what time we're coming into lunch at. Okay. By the way, I did forget to mention, guys, some of the roads that we're going to be travelling are pretty narrow. Yeah. It's probably best if you are of a nervous disposition when you see oncoming traffic to close your eyes and grit your teeth. It works for me. That's exactly what I do. So we're going to make our way up to Dunluce Castle, guys. It's about a 15-20 minute drive away, okay? Talk to you along the way.
Just because having the full drive and then speeding it up is for the non-interesting parts is at least better than a black screen. At least better than a black screen or cutting straight to the next area. So. When he speaks, because time lapses are my audio and it's too fast. And time lapses are too fast to hear for the speaking to be legible.
So you don't need to put his volume in.
graveyard here, look. Tiny little country graveyard. The only way they allow you to be buried in there, guys, is if you're dead. Now, as you can see, guys, we have a very green island. We mentioned earlier on because the island being so green, but as all you ladies will know, there's 50 shades of grey, isn't that right? And you're probably thinking, jeez, where's he going with this? Where is he going? He's talking about 50 shades of grey. Oh my God. Don't want to listen. It's alright, I'm not going anywhere with it. But people will tell you there's 40 shades of green. There's not. There's a hell of a lot more than 40. There's a hell of a lot more than 40. But day by day, week by week, month by month, and year by year, this country is becoming more green as we speak. Up here in Northern Ireland, there is not one. There is no electricity generating stations. Not one. They buy all of their electricity from the Irish Republic, believe it or not. And last year in this country, you'll see them popping up everywhere across the landscape. See them popping up everywhere across the landscape. Wind turbines. Now, up till about 15 years ago, you would not see a wind turbine on the landscape. They were all out in the ocean, okay? That has all completely changed in the last 10, 12, 14, 15 years. You see wind turbines on the land. Over the last 15 years, wind farms have opened up in fields up the sides of mountains, so it's not just out in the ocean nowadays. But last year, believe it or not, 37% of the electricity generated on this island was generated through wind energy. 37%, yeah. But as I say, we're becoming more green every day the week. In the last couple of years as well, down south, I don't know what it's like up here in the north of Ireland, but definitely down south, all of the new builds, all the new houses that are being built, most of those now have solar energy panels on the roofs of their houses. The reason for that, they generate their own hot water, their own electricity. So it's a win-win situation for the people buying these new houses. Although there is a scarcity of housing in the Irish Republic. The Irish government, when COVID happened, they stopped building houses, full stop. They didn't build any for 2 years. And there wasn't enough houses when they were building them, and then they stopped for 2 years. So now they have a huge problem where demand is out way above what is there to be bought or to be lived in. So we have a huge housing problem down in the south of Ireland today. But as I say, solar energy has become very big. With the last couple of years, we've opened 5 new solar energy farms, basically down the southeast of the country. Last weekend I was down in County Wexford, which they say is the sunny southeast. It's the best. They say that the Wexford is the best part of the country for sunshine. But technology has come so far nowadays that we don't need sunshine to generate electricity. All it is daylight. And obviously during the long summer days, we would be generating a lot more electricity than what there would be during the winter months. So, it's a win-win situation for everybody. But up here in Northern Ireland, as I say, there is no electricity generating stations. They buy all of their electricity in Northern Ireland from the Irish Republic. That's the deal that both governments have. The Irish Republic supplies the north of Ireland with electricity, and if we need extra natural gas down south, we buy it from the gas fields in the North Sea through the British government. So that's the deal that the governments have, and they've had that deal for years and years and years. So, but up here in this part of the world, guys, you don't see very many crops being grown. Mainly it's all just for grazing land, sheep and cattle. They might grow some crops of potatoes, but that's about it. Very, very rarely you'll see anything else except for grass, meadows. Just doesn't look like grass, does it? I don't think it's wheat. It's green, is it? Pardon? I haven't a clue. I know we have people people down south, the farmers down south, they grow rapeseed plants for rapeseed oil. And for the last couple of months, the fields have been just yellow. They've been looking like fields of daffodils, and it has been looking fantastic, I have to say.
Cows.
You can see the sheep in the fields as well. A couple of months ago, we came to the end. About 2 months ago was the end of lambing season in this country. So all the little baby lambs are getting big now, as you can see. It's lovely to see them running around the fields,
There's a black
playing and
one.
dancing, and they look lovely, I have to say.
There's a single one.
Much better on a plate beside roast potatoes and gravy. But I was talking to a sheep farmer a couple of weeks back down in County Wicklow, and he was telling me that the fleeces that the sheep give us, it's cheaper now for the farmers to destroy the fleeces than sell it. Yeah, because the prices have dropped so much. He says a lot of the wool coming into this country is actually imported nowadays. A lot of the wool is being destroyed. He says some of it is going for the Irish woolen industry, but most of it is being just destroyed. He says they just burn it because they can't get the prices. And to pay people to take it away, it would cost them money as well. So most of the farmers are just burning the fleeces nowadays.
What?
Which is unfortunate. It's sad to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a pillow. Fleece pillow.
Earlier on, guys, we do have a huge agricultural industry in this country: beef farming, dairy farming, sheep farming, pig farming, and the cultivation of crops. The crops the farmers grow nowadays, mainly grain crops: wheat, barley, oats and corn, vegetable crops: peas, onions, carrots, potatoes, broccoli, turnips, parsnips. We've also got a huge mushroom industry, and we've also got a huge tomato industry. Now I know tomatoes are fruits, they're not vegetables, I know. But yes, this country is pretty much self-sufficient regarding food. Pig farming, we eat a lot of pork and bacon. We also export a lot of pork and bacon. Likewise with sheep, we eat a lot of lamb, but we also export a lot of lamb and mutton. Beef farming, 90% of the beef that we produce on this island is exported. Places like Canada, the USA, Australia, Argentina, New Zealand, Brazil, China, Russia, right across the Middle East and right across Europe. So 90% of beef that we produce is exported. Irish cheese and Irish butter, again, huge industry, huge exports. There's very, very, very few countries in the world where you cannot buy Irish dairy produce, Irish cheese and Irish butter. You've probably been at home in the supermarkets of your hometowns and countries, guys. You've probably come across Irish butter, yes? Kerrygold, we have it here too. Kerrygold is the biggest Irish export for dairy produce that we have. Myself and my best friend, unfortunately he passed away 2 years ago, but we used to have a business together, and we were best friends for 25 years. And as I say, he passed away 2 years ago. But back in 2018, we were out one evening, ourselves and the wives. His wife passed away as well 2 years ago, or 4 years ago. But we were out one evening, we went back to their house, and we were in the kitchen sampling some very, very nice whiskey. The two girls were in having a glass of wine, watching TV, having a chat, and we came up with this idea at 2:30 in the morning, full of whiskey. Now,
Was it about Ireland?
as you know,
There's cows.
any idea at 2:30 in the morning is a great idea when you're full of whiskey. Yeah. We said, come on, we're going to organise a scuba dive trip, and we'll head off scuba diving, the four of us. So we went in to tell the wives, and they looked at us and said, no, it's not happening. You're on your own. It was music to our ears. So So what was going to be a 4-week journey, a 4-week trip, turned out to be a 10-week trip because the girls weren't coming with us. But on the homeward bound leg of the journey, we found ourselves in a little place in Thailand called Koh Samui. After being out on the boat all day, scuba diving came in, we were starving. We went up to the local supermarket, what we thought was going to be a supermarket. Turned out to be a little shack of a shop, and there in the corner of the shop was a fridge, and in the fridge was Kerrygold butter. We looked at each other, our eyes widened, we both said together, look at that, it tastes of Kerrygold, it tastes of home. He says, you get the butter and I'll get the bread. Went back to where we were staying, got the butter out, got the bread out, buttered the bread and started to eat it. First bite, didn't notice anything. Second bite, oh, there's something wrong here. Third bite, we realised there was so much salt in the bread we couldn't eat any more of it. So what does he go and do? He goes and gets a spoon, scoops the butter onto the spoon and starts to lick it like an ice cream. Yeah, I know, that sounds sick, doesn't it?
What?
Even look more sick. But anyway, he died 2 years ago. It wasn't the bullet that killed him. He was killed by his other best friend. This is the truth. His other best friend was a fellow called Jack Daniels. Yeah, I'd say even today he's well pickled. Himself and Jack Daniels got on very, very well together. Now, we are in the little village of Bushmills talking about whiskey. Over there to the right is the old Bushmills distillery where they make whiskey.
Ooh.
Where they make Bushmills whiskey. Have you all heard of Bushmills whiskey?
No.
What does whiskey do?
Make you drunk?
Stupid. Some people don't need whiskey for that now. Look at this gobshite. Look at that. And here's another one. Here's another one. And another. Oh, Jesus Christ. And I hope they're not drinking whiskey. You know? Anyway. Well, the reason they probably did that was this is a Protestant town, right? Very staunchly Protestant, right? And they see a bus from the south that's covered in green, white and orange flags and shamrocks and leprechauns, and that's probably the reason why they did it, you know. But anyway, what does whiskey do? Some people said it makes you stupid. I don't know, but I've asked that question a few times over the years and I've got a few different answers. I was told one day by a lady, whiskey makes me frisky. Whatever she meant by that, I do not know. Then I was told whiskey makes me do very bold things, and I didn't ask any more questions. I was a little bit on the embarrassed side. But whiskey, they've been distilling whiskey here since 1608. If you look at a bottle of Bushmills, the date on the bottle of Bushmills is 1608. Now they've gotten their license here back in the mid-1500s, believe it or not, and they got their license from Queen Elizabeth I. And Queen Elizabeth I was the daughter of Henry VIII, and that's when the whole whiskey story began here in the little village of Bushmills in County Antrim, Northern Ireland. Now, I was up here a couple of years ago. I drive this bus all the time, but we were stuck one day, and there was two families in, and they were in a small bus. It was a 19-seater, and there was no driver. So I was asked, will I take the people out on the tour? And it was a 3-day tour, so I was going to have them for the 3 days. Now, I don't do 3-day tours. I only leave Dublin in the morning time, and you guys drop you back into Dublin in the evening time, and I go home, and I forget about it after that. But this about 3 years ago, I was up here. Actually, it's 2 years ago. And these two families came up. We did the tour in Bushmills, and they did the whiskey tasting in Bushmills. And one of the guys said, they were only after bringing out 3 new blends of Bushmills whiskey, and one of the guys says, oh, that's a lovely whiskey. He says, I'll take a bottle of that. And he handed in his credit card. And went off anyway to do what we were doing. Went back to Dublin, dropped them off at the hotel that evening, came back out the next morning, and he says to me, he says, we have to go back to Bushmills. I said, Jesus, did you like the bottle of whiskey that much you drank the whole lot of it? He says, no, he says, I have the bottle of whiskey here. He says, but I checked my credit card. He says, they charged me €3,300. And I says, yes, that was the price of it. He says, I thought they said €300. Yeah. So we weren't able to come back up that day, but we came up the day after that, and he got a refund on the bottle of whiskey. €3,300. Exactly. Yeah. No. So, needless to say, he wasn't too happy. Now, that little village over there, little town over there, is a part of Bushmills, but it's called Port Ballantrae. Okay, it's a little holiday town. It's the holiday part of Bushmills, and people come up here. They spend their summers on the beaches up here. Although I can't see too many people being on the beach today, but you come up here in the middle of winter, guys. You drive through that little village over there. There's nobody ever around. It's like a ghost town, I have to say. The North Atlantic Ocean out there as well.
There it is.
The North Atlantic Ocean is looking nice and calm today. So she is. But when Mother Nature blows, does she blow? She blows very, very, very angrily indeed. Just never as angry as my ex-wife.
Jeez.
Now, on a really clear day, guys, hopefully, I'm watching the road, I can't really see, but on a clear day, we can see the coastline of Scotland across the sea. It's about 12 kilometres across the sea, guys. The Isle, the Isle of Islay is across the sea there. It's only about 12 kilometres across the sea, but it is the Scottish coast. Now, I want to show you something else up the right here. We were talking about the Irish potato famine earlier on, between 1845 and 1852. And the people back then, guys, they needed as much land as possible to grow the crops that they needed to feed their families. So they chose to live in tiny, small, little houses. And just up here ahead of us here on the left-hand side is a ruin of one of those tiny, small, little houses that they used to live in. Wait, you see it here? See it here on the left? Now, you can imagine a husband and wife and probably 5 or 6 children living in that little house. They used to eat where they slept where they ate, and that was it. The fire of the house was kept going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year.
Oh.
That's how small. You got to get rid.
Those were cold and drafty little houses. What they used to do, they used to get animal hair. They used to mix it with mud, spread it across the walls of the houses. Now, it didn't act as insulation, but what it did do, it stopped the wind from blowing through the stone. As I say, they were cold and drafty little houses. Different way of living back then, I have to say. Now, as we go around the bend just ahead of us, straight out ahead of us will be Royal Portrush, or the town of Portrush. Anybody who plays golf will have heard of it. It's where the Irish Open is going to be played later on next month, actually. Royal Portrush, that's the town straight over in front of us. And straight beneath us here is, of course, Dunluce Castle, overlooking the ocean. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Bus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What is the bus?
And it brightened up just because they knew we were coming here. Yeah. That's the reason.
What's that over there? Little island.
There, rocks out there in the ocean, guys. They're called the Skerries Rocks.
Oh, scary.
Back in 1588, there was 3 of the Spanish Armada. 2 of the boats were broken up onto those rocks. Some of the Spanish soldiers died on the water, and the sailors. But this is Dunluce Castle, just to the right of us. Now, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to drop you off. I'm going to go off and park up the road. I can't stay in here, guys, because the guy who owns this house here, the farmer who owns this house here, some days he forgets to take his medication. This is the truth. And he'll get it into his head, I don't like the buses being here today, so I'm going to block the laneway. And he'll put a truck at one end and a truck at the other end, and he won't let us in or out. I was here last year for about 2.5 hours one day because he wouldn't let us out. And now I talked to the guy at home, and even then he said, no, I'm not letting you out. So, you know, it depends on what day of the week it is and how much medication he hasn't taken.
Robert, shoes.
So I'm going to drop you off, and then I'm going to come back and collect you. Is that okay? Alright, now when you get off the bus, guys, down the pathway, you go through